I was days away from marrying the love of my life until she walked down the aisle to my brother instead. 3 weeks before our spring wedding, I caught my brother sending her explicit messages and begging her to leave me, and 2 months later, I got an invitation to their ceremony paid for by my own mother. She told everyone I cheated, funded their new beginnings, and smiled through the vows like I was the family embarrassment. When I finally stopped playing the good son and started pulling back the curtain, the fallout didn't just ruin a wedding, it shattered everything we used to call family. Hi, I'm Nathan, 29, and 3 months ago, I was supposed to marry the love of my life. Instead, I watched her walk down the aisle, to my brother. And the worst part? My mom looked me in the eye and said, "It's better this way. Let me tell you exactly how we got here." I proposed to Claire on the roof of our apartment building, under cafe lights. I'd strung myself, with a ring I'd financed over 9 months while juggling night shifts and student loan payments. She cried. I cried. We called our families. My brother Ryan was the first to text, "You did it, man. Finally." He added a champagne emoji and a thumbs up. Classic Ryan, equal parts frat boy energy and older brother charm. We started planning immediately. Claire wanted a spring wedding. Nothing extravagant, just lilacs, string quartets, and lemon cake. My parents offered to host at the family property upstate. It felt like a fairy tale, one I'd somehow stumbled into with Claire saying yes on every page. Except, one person wasn't excited. My mother. "It's just, fast," she said the night we told her. "Are you sure she's the right one?" I laughed it off. "Mom, we've been together 3 years. She didn't laugh. Claire noticed. "She's been cold to me ever since we got engaged." I told her not to worry. "She's just weird about weddings," I said. She wasn't. 3 weeks before the wedding, I came home to Claire packing her suitcase. She turned, red-eyed. "How long?" I blinked. "What?" She shoved her phone at me. Screenshots. Messages. Dozens. All from a number saved as Ryan. My brother. Messages from my brother. Explicit ones. "I didn't respond," she said. "Not once. I told him to stop. And he just kept going." I read them, one by one. "Ryan, you don't have to marry him. You know we're better together. Ryan, you felt it too that night. Ryan, he's not like us. He's small." "Claire," I said, my voice shaking. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I thought it would stop. I thought maybe he was drunk, or just," she wiped her face. Then he showed up at my office. The rage that rose in me had no words. Just this hot, wet roar behind my ears. But the worst part? She didn't want to stay. "I can't marry into this," she said. "I thought it was one mistake. But your mom, your whole family. It's toxic." She left that night. The wedding was cancelled. The deposits were unrecoverable. I didn't hear from Ryan. Not a single word. Until 2 months later, when I got a wedding invitation in the mail. Ryan and Claire. And under it, our love was unexpected. But fate always finds its way. I called my mom. Her voice was calm. Too calm. "You got the invite," she said. I couldn't even speak. She sighed. "Nathan, sweetheart, it's better this way." I hung up. Then I drove to their house. What happened next? I'm not proud of it. But it's the reason none of us speak anymore. When I pulled into my parents' driveway that night, the porch light was on, like it always had been when I was a kid. Back then, it meant you're safe here. Now, it felt more like a spotlight aimed at the guy everyone was pretending didn't exist. My mother opened the door before I knocked. "Nathan," she said softly, like she was offering me tea and not my entire future in ruins. "I'm not here for pleasantries," I said. "You knew." She stepped aside. "Let's not have this in the doorway." I didn't move. "You knew. He harassed Claire for months, and you still sent that invitation." "She never told us that," Mom said, arms crossed now. "She said you cheated on her. That you had someone on the side." I blinked. "What?" She tilted her head, like she was the reasonable one here. That's what she told us. That you were sneaking around with someone from work. That she caught you. I've worked from home for the last 2 years. Well, she sniffed, you always were private. I laughed. I laughed because there was no other human sound that fit. You believed her. Over me. Over your own son. Dad shuffled into the hallway then. Let's all calm down. No, I said. Let's not. Claire left me because Ryan wouldn't stop messaging her. And when she finally couldn't take it anymore, you let him marry her. Dad flinched. Mom. She didn't even blink. She made her choice, Nathan, she said. And frankly, she'll be happier with someone who's more stable. Stable? I snapped. Ryan flunked out of college twice, got fired from 2 companies, and once tried to launch an NFT platform called Dog Dollars. Dad mumbled, they weren't bad ideas. Dad. He shut up. I turned back to Mom. Did you ever stop to ask me what happened? She shrugged. You're strong. You always bounce back. Ryan, he needs more support. You've always had your head on straight. There it was. The lifelong curse of being the capable one. Not loved. Not protected. Just reliable. I stared at her. You sacrificed my engagement to protect your favorite. That's not fair, she said. No, I replied. It's accurate. She stepped forward like I was 12 again, like she could fix this with a hand on the shoulder and a let's have dinner. But I stepped back. You let him have her, I said. You let him take her. And then you helped him send out monogrammed invites like this was a Hallmark miracle instead of a soap opera. She whispered, it's better this way. I nodded. Then you won't mind when I RSVP with silence. And I walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't stop when my dad called my name. Just drove. 3 hours. No music. Just the hum of grief turning into something harder. Anger with shape. Resolve with edges. Because if my mother thought silence was the end of this, she had no idea what was coming next. I didn't sleep that night. I paced my tiny apartment like I was waiting for a storm to land, only I was the storm. And every loop I made past the fridge, past the couch, past the half-full box of wedding favors I never returned, I saw it more clearly. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was a heist. And they all played a part, Claire, Ryan, my mother. So I stopped pacing. And I started planning. The thing about being the responsible son is that no one expects you to be petty. No one expects you to retaliate. But I've spent most of my adult life managing corporate compliance at one of the largest firms in the state. And when you do that kind of work, you learn things. Like how to read people's digital fingerprints. And how to track money. It started with curiosity. Ryan and Claire were planning this big romantic seaside wedding. That takes cash, especially since Ryan had the financial stability of a raccoon in a casino. So I pulled up public records, as one does. Guess who co-signed the venue deposit? Not Ryan. My mom. A $28,000 cashier's check, signed and filed under her name, with a memo line that said, New Beginnings. I choked on my coffee. New beginnings. Was that what I was now? A bad chapter. The deeper I dug, the worse it got. Claire had moved into the guest house on my parents' property, the one I paid to renovate 5 years ago when I still thought I was the prodigal son coming home someday. Ryan had taken over my dad's old garage and was calling it his startup studio. For what, you ask? You guessed it, dog dollars too. 0. He was literally building a crypto business out of my parents' garage, eating home-cooked meals from my mother's kitchen, and living with my ex-fiancée while she planned a wedding I was supposed to be in. And here's the kicker. They had the nerve to list me as best man in the original draft of the ceremony schedule. Like some twisted olive branch dipped in gasoline. That was when I stopped being sad. And started getting very, very productive. Step 1, pull the rug. I reached out to the venue anonymously and asked about the fire inspection report. Turns out, one hadn't been filed yet, a required form for their insurance to hold. I submitted an inquiry to the local fire marshal. Not malicious. Just, timely. Step 2, mail. I typed up a little packet. Nothing slanderous. Just facts. Printouts of Ryan's failed business filings. Claire's LinkedIn timeline, which happened to overlap a little too perfectly with the months she claimed I'd cheated. A screenshot of the messages she said were fake, including the very real location data embedded in them. I didn't send it to the tabloids. I sent it to the pastor. To the wedding planner. To Claire's older sister, who always thought I was too good for her. Step 3, silence. I didn't post. I didn't rant. I didn't text. I let the truth speak. And it did. Loudly. By week's end, I got a call from a blocked number. Claire. Nate, she said, voice cracking. Why are you doing this? I stayed quiet. She kept going. You're ruining everything. You already ruined everything, I said. I'm just pulling back the curtain. She sniffled. I didn't want it to happen like this. Then maybe, I said, you shouldn't have started it that way. Click. No goodbye. Just static. And I smiled, not because I wanted her to hurt, but because I finally felt like I wasn't the one bleeding alone. The next morning, I got a voicemail from Ryan. All caps. You've made your point. Back off. I didn't reply. Because the point wasn't revenge. It was reclamation. This was my life. And I was done letting them write the ending. The wedding wasn't cancelled. It just got quieter. No string quartet. No catered lemon cake flown in from that bougie bakery in Vermont Claire used to follow on Instagram. Just a downsized backyard, intimate celebration, with mismatched chairs and a folding table buffet. Apparently, the fire inspection delays made the venue back out. Insurance technicality. Tragic. I wouldn't have known, or cared, except that my cousin Lily sent me a video the day of. No context. Just a 5-second clip. Ryan, at the altar, sweating through his blazer. Claire, in a simple white dress, looking everywhere but at him. My mom in the front row, smiling so hard it looked painful. And in the background? No guests. Maybe 20 people, tops. Mostly family who couldn't say no or didn't know better. Lily captioned it, "This is weird, right?" Yes. Yes, it was. But not as weird as what happened after. 2 weeks post-wedding, I got a letter. An actual, physical letter. Handwritten. In cursive. On monogrammed stationery. From my mother. Nathan, it began. I hope this finds you well. Which is how every manipulative letter starts when someone wants to wrap barbed wire in throw pillows. She went on. It saddens me that you weren't there for your brother's special day. Translation, I can't believe you didn't show up to your own ex's wedding. I know this situation has been difficult for you. Translation, I'm pretending to empathize while blaming you for the fallout. But I hope, in time, you'll come to see that love doesn't always follow rules. That part made me laugh. Out loud. You broke the rules, Mom. And then handed Claire a veil and called it destiny. But the real gut punch came at the end. We're family. And family forgives. Then, underlined 3 times. It's time to move on. No apology. No remorse. Just a request to sweep it all under the rug, again, only this time, I was expected to do the lifting. I stared at the letter for a long time. Then I mailed it back. Just the letter. Nothing added. Except a sticky note on the front. Return to sender. Address no longer valid. A week later, Ryan emailed me. Subject line, be an adult. No greeting. Just, you've made your point. Claire's not your property. She's my wife. Grow up and get over it. That part. That was rich. The guy who copy-pasted my entire life, my girlfriend, my venue, even my speechwriting template, which Lily said he butchered, by the way, was telling me to grow up. I didn't reply. But I did do one last thing. I wrote an open letter. Not online. Not public. Just a Google document shared only with one person, Claire's sister, Megan. The one person in that whole mess who once pulled me aside after dinner and said, "I don't get what she sees in Ryan." In the letter, I laid it all out. Calm. Factual. Not dramatic. The dates. The messages. The timeline of everything Claire said versus what actually happened. I ended it with one sentence. I loved her. I proposed to her. And I would have done anything to build a life with her, but I will not be erased by the people who couldn't handle the truth. Megan texted me a day later, "I believe you." That was enough. Not revenge. Not applause. Just witness. Someone else finally said, "Yeah. That happened. You weren't crazy." And that? That gave me something I hadn't had since the proposal. Peace. You'd think that would be the end of it. You'd think I could go live my quiet little post-betrayal life, take up pottery or join a dodgeball league or whatever the emotionally mature do after their brother marries their ex-fiancée with their mother's blessing. But no. Because Ryan doesn't know how to leave well enough alone. It started with the texts. At first, they were passive-aggressive. "Mom's still upset you haven't reached out. Claire's been crying. Hope that makes you feel big. You ghosting the family over a girl? Real mature." Then they got bolder. "You owe Mom an apology for how you stormed out. Grow a pair and show up for Sunday dinner. You think you're better than us? You're not." I didn't respond. Not once. I blocked his number. Then came the emails, from fake accounts. Then a Venmo request for $40 with the note, "For the wine Claire drank when you broke her heart." I didn't even know you could weaponize Venmo like that. But Ryan found a way. The final straw. He showed up. At my building. In person. Banged on the glass door like we were in a soap opera. Woke up the downstairs neighbor's baby and everything. Security buzzed me, confused. "He says he's your brother." I came downstairs, not because I wanted to see him. But because I didn't want to owe that poor baby another minute of sleep. He was standing in the entryway like he owned the building. Wearing aviators. Like it was a mission. I didn't say a word. He launched into a speech. "You're punishing everyone," he said. "For what? Claire chose me. That's not my fault." I crossed my arms. "She didn't choose. You lied. You manipulated. You took advantage." He snorted. "Oh please. She said you were cold. Boring. Always working. You think a few candles and a rooftop proposal erase that?" That hit. Not because it was true. But because I used to believe it might be. I used to think maybe I wasn't enough. That maybe my steady, reliable love was dull. That I'd been outromanced by the golden child. But now I could see him for what he was. A man who couldn't build anything on his own, so he stole mine. "You came here for something," I said finally. "So spit it out." He hesitated. Then said, "We need help." There it was. The real reason. The mortgage on my parents' guest house was in default. The crypto thing flopped again. Claire had quit her job, something about anxiety. They were behind on everything. And somehow, that was my fault. I didn't blink. "No. You don't even want to hear." "No. You're seriously going to let your own family sink?" I shrugged. "You're not my family. You're just my DNA match." He flinched. "You smug." I stepped forward. Calm. Firm. "You stole my fiancé. Lied about me to everyone I love. Let Mom turn this entire mess into a morality play where I was the villain. And now you want a bailout?" He was silent. "Go home, Ryan," I said. "Tell Claire hi. And maybe remind her that karma doesn't always show up in headlines. Sometimes it shows up as you." He opened his mouth, then shut it. And then he left. No yelling. No middle finger. Just this, defeated shuffle. And I stood there in the silence afterward, letting the moment sink in. For the first time in months, I wasn't the one who left broken. I was the one standing still. It's been 5 months since Claire walked down that aisle in a dress I never got to see her pick out. 4 months since my mother sent that cursed letter. 3 since Ryan stood in my lobby, demanding I pay for the house that used to be mine. And you know what? I'm okay. Not Instagram okay. Not performative healing post okay. Real okay. The kind where I wake up and don't feel like I'm bracing for a punch. The kind where I open my fridge and don't instinctively count how many meals I can make while recovering from betrayal. I've started dating again. Not seriously. Not yet. Just dinners where no one asks about my brother, or my ex, or how many times I've read The Art of Letting Go. Twice. Don't judge me. The woman I've been seeing, Ella, is funny, grounded, and has this laugh that makes you forget every name that ever broke your heart. I haven't told her the whole story. Just the outline. She said, sounds like you survived a soap opera. I said, I'm the spin-off. Way less drama, way better snacks. She laughed. And that felt like a win. As for Claire and Ryan, from what I hear through the family grapevine, which I've trimmed to 2 aunts and a cousin who refuses to choose sides, it's not going well. Ryan's startup imploded. Claire's anxiety worsened. They're living with my parents full-time now. And somehow, that has become the new tragedy, not that they betrayed me, but that their betrayal didn't lead anywhere better. My mom texted me last week. A photo of the backyard. Ryan's trying to build a shed. You always had a knack for these things. Want to come help? I stared at it for 10 whole minutes. Then I wrote back. I'm glad he's building something. Hope it holds. That's all I sent. No anger. No sarcasm. Just detachment. The kind you earn after surviving a hurricane and learning to love quiet weather. You don't run toward the storm again just because the clouds look familiar. A few days ago, I found the old wedding binder Claire and I made. Still in the closet. Still full of swatches and seating charts and quotes we wrote to each other in Sharpie. One page said, "We're building something unshakable." I smiled. Folded it all back up. And dropped it in the recycling bin. Not burned. Not shredded. Just, gone. Because I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. I'm just done. Done pretending love and loyalty are the same thing. Done performing the role of good son when the script is rigged. Done making myself smaller just so other people can feel bigger. My mom was right about one thing. It is better this way. Just not in the way she thought. Because now, I get to choose who sits at my table. And my guest list doesn't include thieves in tuxedos. Or mothers who call betrayal a blessing. It includes people who show up, tell the truth, and never confuse silence for love. It includes me. Still here. Still standing. And finally, free.